Okay, we're here with Steve from Iron Sport Gym, and he owns the gym. How many years have you been in business?
20 years.
20 years, wow.
20 years, yeah.
So have you seen the trend, go more toward CrossFitting, or what have you seen the trend as far as strength sports?
Strength sports, I mean, definitely a lot more people getting involved. I think via CrossFit, it's bringing more people into all the strength sports, especially strongman and Olympic lifting. But we're seeing a lot more carry into powerlifting now too. So, like I said, I mean, CrossFit is CrossFit. It is what it is. And if it's bringing more people into the Olympic lifting sport, which is really, really dying out, at that point, then I'm all for it. It's fine with me.
I see. So you also have a new instructor here, Results?
Yes, yeah. Results Rivera. She does some training here. Some one-on-one training of some clients, and she does really well. She was a lifter that started out when she was really young, 8, 9 years old, and was taught from the ground up the basics, the positions and things like that you should be taught, not just thrown into the lifts like a lot of people are today. You're 30 years old, you're thrown into just doing a full squat, or a snatch and everything, but you're not really learning the specifics, the basics, the fundamentals of the pulls and where you have to be in regards to the pull and everything. So she teaches people the way she was taught, which was, I think, the correct way.
Okay, so another topic I want to talk about, why do you think so many people gravitate toward Ripeto's squat technique?
I don't think people gravitate towards it. I think a lot more people are being taught it because, again, anytime the CrossFit community grabs a hold of something, like Lululemon clothing or eating paleo, they really hold it dear to them, and a lot of them have picked up on the Starting Strength book by Mark Rippetoe years ago, and that's the way they kind of were taught to squat. So I don't think it's something that's like sweeping the nation. It's just something that the CrossFitters were kind of taught. I'm not a big fan of that style of squatting. I don't think it promotes a good position, good back position. I don't like the hand position on it. I'm not a big fan of everybody squatting low bar. I think people should squat the way people squat, the way they feel more comfortable squatting.
So, why do you think it's not replicated amongst great squatters? Is it because of the head position, or?
Yeah, you don't see too much of powerlifting, and it's because of that looking down head position. You don't want your hips to come up too quick, and then it throws you onto your toes more. I mean, he says it doesn't, and he has little mechanical drawings that says it doesn't and everything, but like I said, not everybody can squat that way. So, and I could never squat that way. I could never look down, keep the bar real low. I'm always fighting that urge to lean as it is. So I like to keep my chest up a little bit. I like to keep my chin up a little bit, and I think that's again, everybody's different, man.
Right. So do you promote a once a week training? Would you train the bench press once a week?
I can see benefits of training it once a week. I can see benefits of training it twice a week. I personally like to train it once a week at this juncture, but I always have historically benched it twice a week because I felt I got a lot more strength in my triceps and my arms by really hammering them twice a week. Now when I try to do that, it just hurts my elbows too much. I'm getting older now, so I don't personally do it. But when I do program it, I will program quite frequently, benching twice a week.
So I know a lot of elite Japanese IPF benchers. For example, Daiki Kodami's benching over 600 at 160, and you have other guys, Nakayama Hisayuki is benching over about 530 at 145. But from what I understand, these guys bench every single day. So what do you think about benching every day?
I believe it or not, I do know another lifter who benched quite frequently, like probably 4 to 5 times a week. I know Mike Tersher also does that in all his lifts.
Right.
If it's done right and it's working for you, I mean, you can do it, I do believe that you do get stronger at what you do, and your body, you're expected to make your body force it to adapt, and nothing will make it adapt more than a lot more frequency and volume. Whether you make it break down or not and go the other way, it's all hard to say, And again, I'm all for saying, go ahead and try it. Don't question it, try it, because you don't know if it's going to work or not for you unless you try it. I can tell you my theories on it, but only my theories. I've never done it.
Right.
So again, I have seen some guys, and as a matter of fact, just happens to be the 2 best lifters I probably ever met do that, but I haven't seen any other lifters do it. So do you think a lifter should go more by anecdotal evidence as opposed to what they read or they try to research? Without a doubt. Every athlete needs to do that. This is a sport that's very instinctive, I believe. Strength training in general. You're basically taking your body and doing something that it's not normally going to do. You're taking it out of the norm, and you're really taking it to the extreme. When you're talking about benching 600 pounds, like you just said, the body was not made for that. You're not made for it all. So, yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of self-experimentation and things like that. So you get to start to get the feel for what your body can handle, what it can handle, and if it can handle it, you got to keep making it handle it. You know, you got to keep pushing all the time. And the main thing I think in lifting those big weights, getting under a big squat, getting under a big bench, is you got to be fearless. You know, that's the number one thing. If you don't have it up here, if you start thinking this is a lot of weight, 600 pounds, the human body shouldn't be doing this, it's very dangerous. You're never going to be able to lift that weight. You know, all the lifters I've seen that are really super strong just honestly have no fear. They're just not afraid to get under that weight.
And that's regardless of the training method, correct?
Regardless of the training method, yeah. It doesn't matter. You know, anywhere from Ed Cohen to guys even before him to guys nowadays, they just don't have any fear of the bar. You know, no fear of the weight. They feel, I guess, well prepared in from their training and everything. But I think there's something inside of them that makes them a cut above because they truly have no fear. I mean, I was a pretty strong guy in my heyday, but even I was like, you know, if I squat 800, that'd be good enough for me. You know, like I was never one of those guys who was striving for 1,000 pounds or 1,100 pound squats. You know, that was just, it was beyond my realm of thinking. It just was. I'm admitting it. Like it just was out of my realm.
So, do you think the theory of CNS is all that is overblown? People stress that too much based on what they read. So they believe that they can't squat more than once a week. But like if you see a Bulgarian athlete, they may be juiced, but they're squatting 7 times a week, training 14 times a week, and all that. Do you think you can force your body to adapt to more training more often, as opposed to thinking that you're unable to train more than once a week because your CNS quote unquote can't take it?
Well, it's something that has to be trained. So what everybody tries to do is they go, oh, these guys are squatting 7 days a week. I'm going to now squat to 7 days a week. What they don't know is those guys started when they were 7 or 8 and were built up. All that volume was built up over a slow progression, a slow period of time. And it wasn't just something they just were thrown into. When you try to throw yourself into that, you're fucked, But the whole CNS thing and getting burned out and getting overtrained and all that, it's really overemphasized by today's lifters. They're reading it all about the internet.
Right.
They're constantly so worried about overtraining that they're all undertraining.
Exactly.
I see it. I mean, I own a gym. I've been here for 20 years. I see way more people undertraining than overtraining. Very rarely do you see somebody truly in an overtraining situation. You really got to be able to push yourself beyond all reason to be able to overtrain. It just doesn't happen that often.
So do you believe
your body, you know it's happening? You just automatically will back off or say, I'm going to train today. I don't think just constantly backing off all the time though. Just for backing off sake, just because for fear of overtraining is necessarily a good thing. So
would you say, a lot of lifters that can't go over the hump, they're not training enough?
Right.
Yeah.
They're not training enough. They're not training enough of the right way.
Right.
There's no quality over the quantity situation, but usually it's a combination of both. There's not enough quality there, and there's not enough quantity there.
All right. So thanks for your input, Steve.
Sure.
And Iron Sport Gym, open 20 years. Hopefully open 20 more.
20 painful years.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Sure.